Hello guys and welcome to another video from Oscar Cooper. I hope you are all doing well, and two things, apologies for my voice being echoey. I've moved to a new apartment, it's a bigger room, my voice bounces around. I will get on the case, I've got to move everything into the spare room, but not to worry, I have got Just Cause 4 and I've been playing it loads. And a little bit of backstory, I'm a bit of a Just Cause fanboy. I very much like Just Cause 2 on the previous generation systems, and I very much like Just Cause 3, which came out free on the PlayStation Network, so there's no excuses from anybody not to have played this game. It's a beautiful open world game that leans heavily on destruction and cool vehicles and just being a general badass. Now, this is being played on a PlayStation Pro. This is Pro footage, this is HDR as well, and I always like to check to see what the options are on any of the graphic variables, be it sort of, you know, higher resolution, frame rates, all of that stuff. There isn't. There's some brightness options in here, that's about it. Don't know if they'll patch something in, but at this stage I'm not too worried about that. It's a game I've been very much looking forward to, and a game that you've probably seen footage of already. There's a bit of hype around this game, so I was really looking forward to getting my hands on it. So let's go through what to expect and what you get. And another thing is, I'm not putting any cutscenes in this. I don't want any story spoilers, any of that. But you get put in a sort of Arctic region at the start, gives you the basics, teaches you how to use your grapple, teaches you how all the parachuting works. I'm obviously getting back into the swing of it, no pun intended, but I soon get my head around how everything works, and I get a look at these explosions. How beautiful these explosions are, holy moly. Anyway, let's sort of look at the other aspects of the game, and beauty is one of them, and of course flying around in your wingsuit is another, and sort of having that free reign with the game itself. It puts you into a mission which is pretty standard stuff, and you have a scanner now on L3 that you click in, so it sort of highlights objectives for you. I kind of quite like that. It's a bit Assassin's Creedy, but it's good. Another thing I want to point out is just this world and its detail is pretty amazing, and sort of flying around and going through some of the locations with your parachute kind of never gets boring for me. There's a knack to getting that parachute to work correctly, and grappling and getting higher ground and sort of getting your head around all of these different mechanics. They slowly sort of come together, but I wanted to include this bit of footage because there's some issues here. Despite its amazing colours and beauty, there are a few issues that we'll go into in a minute, but I just wanted to highlight that yes, it is very good looking, yes, they have done an incredible job with the lighting, and yes, they have done a really good job on this world. It's a stunning world, and this sunset over these mountains, you know, I think really highlights that. Okay, so what else do we have that's changed in this game? Well, there's a few things, and one of the things is its physics engine is very new, and another thing is that some of the combat and weapons have been adjusted, and I think another important thing is that the enemy and enemy AI have been changed around, but the base model, the base game is still concrete, is still there. So if you're a fan of the series, using your wingsuit, grappling, parachuting, and sort of catching up with cars, getting on the cars, getting into the cars, none of that's changed. That's all still there. It's all really cool, it's all really familiar, so I really liked that they didn't muck around with that formula, because that formula is awesome, being able to go from land to air to sea, do you know what I mean, without a single break in your gameplay. And the cars are pretty cool, we're going to go into them in a second. Okay, so what's changed with the grapple? So the grapple's got 3 slots to it now, and you can input in a number of 3 different powers. Let's call them powers, and we're going to look at those in detail in a second. You've probably seen what these powers consist of. The first one, interestingly enough, is actually the balloon, a bit like the Metal Gear Solid balloon. I've just included this bit of footage because this is quite early on. It's kind of introducing you to a number of the different powers, and you get introduced to the balloon power first, which is handy because it's quite a passive mechanic. It's not too aggressive, but it's fun. It's so much fun putting enough balloons on a vehicle to actually send it up in the air and blissfully watching it just having a nightmare. And also I included this bit of footage because the vehicle combat's really good. It was always really good. The chase scenes were always very well choreographed in this game, and they look stunning. But once that balloon power is given to you, you end up just like thinking, right, what can I do? What can I do with this? And it gets better and better, and you're like, oh, I just, you know, let me just put him up in the air, and then if he's in the air, then I'll shoot him, and then he'll drop down, and certain furniture in the game has a certain amount of weight to it. So the balloons can be like low, medium and high. You can adjust that, and so you have to put a number of different balloons on. Let's say you've got a tank, you're going to need a lot of them, and they're going to need to be on high for it to be lifted. But if it's just a bloke, then it's easy enough. And another thing is, I love the combat in this game. It's always been really good. It always flows really well. It's quite tight. I like it. For an open world game, the gunplay in this is very strong. Also, the explosions and these bullet holes. Look at the beauty of those punctured holes. There's something so satisfying about that. It's like sewing with ammunition. Absolutely amazing. And of course, popping stuff is brilliant. And it's all still here in regards to, you know, smashing the crap out of all the bases. But the grapple hook also has its tether, so you can bring things down to the ground. And this is so handy for bringing helicopters down or keeping stuff still. I think this is a great piece of footage, but these poor dudes didn't even get off their rope before I dragged that thing to the ground. It was stunning, and the physics are just stunning. They're breathtaking, and everything pops, flies, explodes, and jumps around in the air. I never ever get bored of it. You get given some quite innovative mission types. Of course, this one's pretty awesome, Indiana Jones style rock that it wants you to sort of drag in, and the strength of these grapple hooks is kind of unlimited. It's really crazy. You can open doors with them and do all manner of crazy stuff to get inside secret areas. But the early stages of the game, they're kind of tutorial missions, and they make you think, you know, how you would use these particular powers. But things just start getting better and better when you become more of a badass and start using these elements to actually help.
We have an intruder on site. Acknowledge. Intruder on site. All units engage.
But then I just can't help but think, how many balloons is it going to take me to lift that ball back out of that hole again? Even though that's blatantly not what I'm supposed to do with this mission. I've already got it in the hole, but I'm thinking, yeah, let's get it out the hole and then see how that works. And I'm counting the balloons. There's only 5 at a limit. I fired the 6th one, the first one disappears. And then I'm like, oh my God, there's enough balloons, it's lifting. So I transfer my grapple, which is on the directional button, to the tether. And I'm like, well, if I put the tether up on the side there, that's going to be enough upward lift power to get this boulder back out. And I'm like, amazing, awesome. You know, there must be something secret down in this hole. What's that fuck? So let's move on to kind of the other areas of the game that are familiar with the series, and one of them is drop-ins and supply drops. So the game wants you to be able to pull in vehicles and unlock vehicles and then bring them in on an ad hoc basis whenever you want. So it doesn't want you to have to look around for a cool vehicle. It wants you to open them up so that you can have them dropped in whenever you want. And that was a really good feature of the series. I like that, and that's still here in abundance. And it's great to unlock new vehicles, unlock new cars, have special editions of certain vehicles, and then have them dropped in and brought in at any particular time. It's really handy because if something's on the other side, there's not a lot of fast travelling in this game, and some missions require like a military helicopter or something like that. So it's really cool to just pull up the menu, get it all dropped in. Let's talk about these vehicles, let's look at them, because they're again offering you a lot of variety. They're really cool, and they're very easy to control. You know, like GTA's helicopters are a friggin' nightmare. I still have a bit of a nightmare landing on this landing pad, and there's this poor guy down there. Feel genuinely sorry for him. He's not even an enemy, he's like a civilian. Don't get punished for it though, crack on, you know, what else is there to do? There's a lot of variety with the helicopters. There's also jets in this game as well, and jet fighters. They're in later game, and they're awesome. And again, it's important. They are very easy to control. You know, these things are not complicated. And you also have radios as well in a lot of the air vehicles. There's some badass vehicles around. There's some really like cool special edition cars around that will have NOS on there for you. And these can be customized, and various different ones can be dropped in if you have them unlocked. There's also this cool little biplane thing that we got given at the start of the mission as well, and I like that. It was really manoeuvrable. It doesn't have guns, obviously. Introduced to you quite early, and I think there's a lot of challenges in this game where you get given time trials and stuff to go underneath bridges, and you can compete on leaderboards with your friends on all the best sort of times and stuff. That's a very, very cool addition. That this isn't a multiplayer game, but you get all these challenges everywhere. This car is cool, and this is some of the night footage as well. So I had like an 80s radio station available, and I'm sort of hooning around in this really cool 80s looking car, and I love the sort of neonness that the night mode brings to the game. Day and night transitions are quite well handled. Now, combat in the air, So combat just in your parachute and just flying around in your wingsuit, putting your parachute on, sort of like boshing stuff with RPGs in midair, and then sort of, hijacking vehicles, pulling the pilots out. It's so hectic, so amazing. It's really delivering on that front. The game is very loud, very sort of in your face. This is an interesting bit of footage. So I'm doing my old wingsuit thing, and I'm trying to check what counts as a collision and what doesn't count as a collision with the plants and with the other in-game furniture. And I deliberately think I'm going to go really close to one of these lampposts because I need to fathom whether they count as a hit or not. And interestingly enough, they do, and I think that's a good thing that they put that much detail on the furniture in the game to knock you out of the air like that. Now, my third and final power is of course the rocket. And I have become obsessed with, I'm like a rocket scientist now. I'm like, at every given opportunity, I'm finding some poor unsuspecting victims to attach a rocket to and just see what happens. And my God, and this is like a streamer's dream, this game, because everyone's gonna be mucking around with combining these two elements. So now I'm like, okay, so let's put a balloon on a guy, and then let's flip it, and then let's put a rocket on him, and then let's see what happens. And you're just like, oh, this is just hilarious. It just does not get boring. You can see in the background here, I've got rockets on everything, and the engine handles it really well. That was a Jeep with a bloke attached to him, and you're just like, your brain starts doing chaos maths, and you're like, how can I start really ruining these people's lives? But the joy is it wants you to do it. I give that guy a good kick as well to make sure he's swinging around. Stunning, really stunning stuff. But there is a downfall to it, and this is a deliberate pan footage of the draw distance, which is very well handled in actual fact, and I like it. There's some granular weird stuff going on with his hair and the lighting. You'll see that now. That's a bit strange. I mean, if you play this is Square Enix. If you play like a Final Fantasy game, you'll know that hair and Square Enix is like their thing, and I was a bit surprised at that. But now let's look at this pop-in. That's the key word here, is pop-in, and just look at it. It's littered everywhere in certain areas of the map. Now this could be down to one or two things. I'm playing this on a Pro, okay, and I installed this game tonight as well. I don't think it's officially launched until the 4th, and this may be patched out. This may just be an area of the map that I've blundered into before the game has had a chance to render everything properly. You get that sometimes, but it's not looking good on the pop-in front. I'm not really a nitpick with that sort of stuff. I don't really care, but it was really noticeable for me. And I know other comments from the channel and people who are into the channel will be like, holy shit, look at that pop-in. If I don't point it out and talk about it, then it's not Fallout 76. Jesus, it's not Fallout 76. And some really complicated areas of the game just didn't have it at all. There's no rhythm or rhyme to it. It's quite strange, but I wanted it to be covered. Also the night time as well. So bear in mind this is HDR footage, but some of the blacks, when you stream something badly, and when the screen goes jet black, there's these big chunks of like checkered jet black and a little bit of black. Do you know what I mean? It's sort of like broken up, and I'm getting that a little bit with it. I think this stuff will just be sorted. Anyway, the combat combined with these grappling powers and just making these guys' lives hell is so addictive. So it's just like the other one where you have an escalation meter. You'll see it up there in the right, and what happens is you'll do a mission and it'll be like, yeah, well done, and the enemy AI will be like, go and get them, they're still there, and you just hang around in an area, and you hang around in an area and you don't want to leave. I didn't want to leave this area. I was in this area about 15 minutes and I'm trying to get that meter up, and I'm like, this is so freaking awesome. Look at this helicopter. He is having a fucking nightmare. He's tethered, so he can't get away. And then I'm like, right, fuck it, rockets then. Get the rockets on that bad boy and then kick those off. And then obviously the pilot, it's just like, it's over for him. But it was just so cool to gradually add those elements, see how the AI copes with it, and then really just close the door on them. The different weapons as well are pretty awesome. There's some really cool long range. Everything's got an alternate fire on R1. You hold R1 in and you get like a big grenade launcher if that's what you've got equipped on the rifle, or the Uzi has this massive clap big alternate fire. It's really awesome. Now I was expecting this turret because I'm putting the rockets on one side of the turret. I was expecting that to just swing round, but there's enough rockets on it. It's locked. There's enough rockets on it to send the whole vehicle round, and then it pops. And then check out the turret that's still got them on. I mean, that's clever coding. You know, I really like that idea. So I have not included one of the stars of this game in this footage, and I don't want to, because it's the cyclone and the cyclone mechanics. And you've probably seen some of the PR around this, and this is a groundbreaker, guys, and it's huge. It's a huge in-game weather. This game loves in-game weather, and that's the hook. That's the selling point. Other than this amazing fighting mechanics and these awesome powers with the grappling hook and the balloons and the rockets, there's a fuck-off great cyclone in this game that when you get near it starts to bend gravity quite literally, and it's the meteorology and the coding around this massive cyclone is freaking mind-blowing. It's in mid-game, and I didn't want to just show it off, because I know that that's spoiler territory, and you need to see it for yourself. So you know the deal. If you're a Just Cause fan, you're totally getting this. I know you are, because you would have had as much fun as me with Just Cause 3. If this whole idea of this game is new to you, and you're like, I don't need another open world game. I've got The Witcher, I've got GTA, I've got Assassin's Creed, I've got open world coming out of my ears. This one's very different. This one is all of those aforementioned games distilled into just an awesome experience. They've purposely streamlined everything so you just have awesome fun all the time, and this is a winner. And again, it's so late in the year as well. We've had some games come out really late this year. Battlefield 5 is another one that are really, really strong, and I'm now in another predicament about what I'm going to do with this one. I'm going to try and finish it before mid-December, so I can sort of see what the end game's like and see how things work when every single thing is unlocked. Notice that turret over there on the right, look, that's still... Stuff like that is kind of annoying me a little bit, but you can't have a massive open world like this with that amount of physics in it and not expect some sort of little buggy things. But I'm loving it, absolutely loving it to bits. It's a stunning looking game. It plays incredibly. It's so worth a look if you're even remotely interested in the previous games. And if you're new to this whole series, this is, holy crap, is this a good place to start with it. So as always, I will see you down there, guys. Enjoy this game. Again, game of the year. Hype is getting so massive. So take care.